faces, my body, head, and soul. Many miles away, I could start a perfect story. Find myself and find out glory. This deceptive world, giving me the sign, giving me the sign. Giving me the sign, giving me the sign.
Welcome everyone to the Sci-Fi Queens podcast. Thank you guys for doing the transition from Friday night to Saturday night, as we had to change at the last minute today. But thank you so much for joining us. If you are new to our channel, we ask that you subscribe and hit that notification bell because it really does help the channel grow. And my name is Nita. I am your host. And tonight, I'm being joined by our returning guest, Courtney. Welcome.
Hello.
And Sarah, who got a little disconnected, but she will be right back with us.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficult. There she is. Our newest queen, Sarah. Welcome back.
Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties.
No worries at all. No worries. But we before we start, I do have a bit of sad news. Our host Navia has decided to leave the podcast and move on. And she feels it's time for her to go move forward. We wish her all the best, and our doors here at Sci-Fi Queens will always be open to her if she ever wants to come back and visit. Always. But she is very much loved by our audience and by the Sci-Fi Queen. So we wanted to acknowledge and wish her so much success in the coming years and all her adventures. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about the top 5 sci-fi TV holiday episodes that Sarah and I picked out in order to make sure that we had some good episodes to talk about, right? And Courtney's going to join us, and she agreed to watch these episodes with us. And let's go right into the first one, which is Eureka's Season 4, Episode 10, Oh Little Town. Now, I wrote a little synopsis of it. As Sheriff Carter relates a Christmas story, to some of the children of Eureka, in which the defensive shield malfunctioned, trapping everyone in the town for the holidays. Fargo throws a big party, unaware that the town is actually shrinking. All from a quest for the perfect fruitcake. Taggart looks to trap Santa Claus, and Chloe looks to find out who is everyone's secret Santa, giving everyone the perfect gift. I love this show. Courtney, you're our guest. We're going to start with you. What is your impression of this episode? Talk to me about the holiday feel you got from it. What was your thoughts on this episode?
Well, I remember when Eureka first came out. I watched a few of the episodes of the first season, and I barely remembered anything about the show at all. So it was kind of basically just going into it brand new for me again. And it's kind of weird because like I knew some of the backstory of the show, but like going into this, if I didn't know any of it, it would be like kind of confusing because you're just like, why is there's a lot of science going on here. And then realizing that I guess it's Taggart is Max Headroom from
Yes.
the really
Yes.
old show. So that was kind of funny. My husband and I were like, that's the guy. But it was a cute story. It's I definitely know what it's like to be stuck somewhere I didn't want to be for the holidays.
Absolutely. I think everyone has a stuck in somewhere holiday story.
Especially, well, I mean, when I lived in Montana, a lot of the time it was just the weather. Like you just can't go anywhere.
Yeah, the 4 feet of snow in one night. That was great.
Oh my gosh. Or there's just too much ice and you can't get over the pass and it's just not worth risking your life for fruitcake, or turkey or whatever. So yeah, it was a cute episode though. I kind of thought it was interesting how they worked the whole like literal secret Santa thing in there because it was someone that again like I don't think that he was a recurring character in the show, but I had to go look him up because
No,
I was like I swear I know this guy's voice. Because I have a thing for voice actors. Like I always try to figure out where I know them from. So it was cute. And then they did it as the whole like the storytelling aspect. He's telling the kids the story about a previous time, but then there's also like stuff going on at that point. So it was kind of at parts it was kind of confusing for me to be like, okay, well, are we in the story or are we listening to the story? So
Absolutely. How about you, Sarah?
well, this is one of my favorite episodes of Eureka because it's like when you get to the end of it and you realize like you get that like, was he Santa? Was he? And, it's that because it's always just like who's everybody's secret Santa, but this scientist just keeps wandering around, and he is a new character, so he's somebody we've never seen before. But that's not uncommon with Eureka. They just randomly introduce new characters, and then you never see them again. So it's just it is what it is. But I like this one because Carter's thinking that Taggart is Santa because he's dressed up like Santa and he's using the sleigh, but he really isn't. He's hunting for Santa.
He was.
he was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he's the dog catcher, zookeeper, the creature dude. That
Yes.
you go to him and he's a zoological scientist or something like that.
Santa
But
is a cryptid.
yeah, he he's always looking for big game. And
I agree. I agree. I think that this episode putting him as someone looking for Santa was perfect to his character because he's always on the hunt for something
Mhm.
in these episodes that he's in. He's not in every episode of Eureka. I'm a fan of Eureka. I like Eureka a lot. I'm not too crazy about the female representation in Eureka. A lot of times they're just downright rude or annoying or like I have issues with that. But the show itself, as a whole, is fantastic. I think that you know, the fact that Joe turns out to be everyone's secret Santa was absolutely unexpected when I first saw this the very first time. I did not expect it. I really thought it was that guy that
Yeah,
that random guy that he Santa? Is he bringing
yeah.
everyone's gifts? I really thought it was him. So I thought it was pretty fantastic that you know they had this episode and he's telling it to the children as a story. But here's the thing, is it a story or did it truly happen in Eureka? That's where he kind of leaves that open. You know,
Yeah, they're a little ambiguous.
did this situation really happen in Eureka and you were all just too young to remember? Or was this something that he made up?
Right.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they left that open
Yeah.
to interpretation.
Well, and the fact that Eureka is always freaking nuts, and Carter is like the most normal, everyday guy, and
He is the everyday guy.
and he dumbs it down and solves things like these super scientific complex problems. And he's like, "Have we tried turning it off and turning it back on?" And they're like, "Oh, we never thought of that." It's
I remember that in I think it was like the second episode where he's like, take the batteries out. And he goes, the batteries? And it worked. It's the simplest thing.
yeah,
I love that his level of intelligence truly surpassed the geniuses that were there because he had a different way of looking at things. And I think that him telling the story was excellent. One of my favorite scenes were when they were in this carriage that Taggart came up with, the Santa Claus carriage, and he's screaming his head off. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I give this a thumbs up. What do you give it, Sarah?
Oh, I love it. So double
How
thumbs
about you,
up.
Courtney? Be real. You could give it thumbs down. You could,
I'm like in the middle. Like, yeah, I mean, I
like a
probably should
sideways
go back
thumb.
and like I'm like a half a thumb.
Yeah.
My little stubby thumbs.
You give it like a gangster thumb, like a
Yeah,
sideways
exactly.
thumb.
The sideways thumb.
Hi.
Yeah. No, just because I think it does make me want to go back and rewatch the show because like I'm guessing there's a lot more that I would have picked up on if I remembered more of it. But I watched it
I
when it first
I
came out.
definitely encourage people to watch the show because it is a fantastic show. And if you go back to our announcement videos, it not only tells you um what we're watching, but where you can stream the shows from. So you can definitely have different platforms you can stream this from. And it is a definitely I love it. I give it a thumbs up. Definitely for sure. Um let's go to our next one, which is Sliders. Season 3, episode 12, season greetings. This world is rife with shopping malls in the sky that trick people into debt with subliminal messages in television commercial. The group must help a woman get out of a manufactured debt so she can raise her baby. The evil orchestra of this sinister plot must be stopped. I love Sliders. Talk to me, Sarah. Talk to me. What went through your mind?
I had forgotten about this one. And it was it's kind of sad, but it's a lesson in consumerism. I mean, it really is. It's but it's kind of scary how like true it is, and how I mean it's plausible to this day. Today.
Yes.
People are always offering, like whenever you go to the store, they always offer you, oh, do you want to sign up for a credit card today? And it's just like, and oh, you can save $20 off your order if you sign up, and just kind of getting, it's like, but then you have to means you're gonna have to pay, and you're gonna pay later, and then you can spend more, and then it's that vicious cycle. It reminds me why I don't have any credit cards, if that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. I agree with you there. This is definitely an episode that kind of hits on what people go through every year during the holiday season. I mean, the commercials may not have the same subliminal messages that they were going through, which was manipulating them, but they definitely influence our expenditure or even how we view Christmas, or all holidays, right? It's
Yeah.
about what you can get. So I think they kept it real. I think that that's something that Sliders always did, was that they kept it real. Courtney, what do you think?
It was interesting to me because like it's totally the idea of the company store. Like, you're working off your debt, but they keep making you incur debt. So you're basically, it's just indentured servitude. But
Yeah.
Yes.
like, it was
As
funny to me because like the whole time I'm sitting here, like, because they're like malls and it's, by today's standards, that's something that we've seen getting phased out. Like, I was like, these people have no idea that Amazon is coming. Like, they didn't even know
Yes.
back then. Like,
right.
Yes.
I can't remember what year this was, but I was just like, oh my gosh, like, kids, you have no idea. But it was just like, I know it's television, and like I remember my grandmother watching Sliders when I was a kid because we used to watch X-Files together, and she used to watch Sliders. But I think it
Very
was
cool,
like
Grandma.
a little right, probably a little like, I don't know. I didn't remember watching this so much, but I definitely remember the intro to the show. But it was just funny to me because there was things that I was just like, you're taking some artistic license with this, because like there was just some insane stuff. Like this lady's just like, nope, just gonna hand my baby to a random giant dude, like with an accent at a church, and out like a very pretty outdoor church. But it was just funny to me that it was just like I like the whole Moses story, like,
Yes, I
there was a lot
understand.
of cherry picking from different things in here that was really funny to me. But then like there were some things that I'm just like, what are you insinuating here? Like when he goes off with uh is it Kelly's sister?
Yes.
And then just shows up in a suit later, and you're like, what what just happened
Yeah.
here? Like,
Quinn's sister Kelly. Yeah.
right. So
Yeah. Well,
Who
she
is the
like
same
she did the wink wink nudge nudge. I got a
I
job for you.
know,
Yeah.
and I was
And
just
then
Who
like,
is this? By the way, she's the same actress who played Leela in
Lita.
Star
Yeah.
Trek
And
Deep Space Nine.
I had forgotten
oh,
that.
Yep, and I forgot that that's where I had originally seen her was in Sliders because she was only in that one episode.
Yeah, but it was I thought it was good because Quinn got to reconnect with her family and actually got to see her family, even though like they didn't know she existed. And she's like, I don't want to see them. But then, she turned that around, and that was kind of, excuse me, I thought that was kind of the message of the episode, that it wasn't about all these material things that they were trying to sell you and make you spend your money on. It was about the people that you're with. I mean, obviously the Christmas story of getting the baby back to the mother, and being a mom, making that choice would be so hard that I mean, it's like moms who give up their kids for adoption because
Hmm.
they can't take care of them, and they know that they're going to be better off with somebody else. And I mean, and that mom, I felt for her there because she's never going to get out of her debt. And at least if she, if her child grows up on the ground instead of at the mall, won't be born into $9,000 worth of debt.
Exactly. And that was the thing. It wasn't even about money management or anything like that. It was the fact that they work there, they live there, but they were obligated to spend X amount each
Yeah.
day in debt, and they had to. So how do you
If you
pay
get
off
$100,
anything?
you get $100 a day, but you got to spend 80.
80 of it, yeah.
They deduct 80 of it for housing and food, but then and then you only get $20, but then you got to spend 80% of that in the company store.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. So I think that for a holiday um story, maybe it was a little too deep,
yeah, there was a lot
but
going
at the
on.
same
A lot.
time, maybe it was right, because if you think of when this aired and when what was happening in the world there then, which was the encouragement of consumerism then, because spend money, stimulate the
Because
economy, da, 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 da.
malls were booming then.
Exactly, malls were booming. I think that there was definitely a message being sent here. So I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. What do you give it, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm with Courtney. I think it gets a half one because I mean
You got the gangster thumb. You got the
yeah, because
gangster thumb.
it was so much going on.
It was a lot going on.
Yeah.
I have to say there was a lot going on. Lots of little storylines, and then this bigger one,
Right.
which was very overwhelming. But let's definitely go on to the third one, which is one of my favorite all-time original Twilight Zone, Night of the Meek. Mr. Henry Cornwood, who once a year takes the lead role, a department store Santa Claus. But Mr. Henry Cornwell will enter a strange kind of North Pole, which is one part of the wondrous spirit of Christmas and one part the magic that can be found only in the Twilight Zone. I love the Twilight Zone. I'm a big Twilight Zone nerd. And I love the originals. I grew up with the originals. I love the new ones too. I'm not one of those people who denies how good the new ones are because I come from the original. No, this is good. This was good. They're good now. They definitely had this whole kind of um Christmas story kind of vibe to it, you know. So what were your thoughts, Courtney? Have you watched any of the original Twilight Zones before?
Oh yeah, my husband and I binged a bunch of them last summer or maybe or the year before. But I don't actually remember watching this one, so it was cool to get to see it. And when we lived in Vegas, we checked out they had a Twilight Zone mini golf there that was pretty corny, but it was fun to go see it. But it was very like It's a Wonderful Life kind
Yes.
of a thing. It was God when he was like, that was 7 shots and a sandwich. That'll be $3.80. I was like, man, let's go back.
Let's go back to that.
But
Yep.
it was interesting. Like you have, it was cool to me that like he really did just have the one wish, and that's that, and he got what he wanted, and then like literally just got kidnapped to go be Santa Claus. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny that they worked the humor into there with the department store guy and the bratty kids, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good short form of like the Christmas story, but like all he wanted to do, he didn't want anything for himself. He just wanted to give back to the people that he knew that didn't have anything.
Yes, exactly. That's how I felt. I felt so. This is one of those warm-hearted kind of feel-good stories, and
Right.
that's strange for the Twilight Zone.
Yes.
But it definitely is a warm, and it did give me that It's a Wonderful Life vibe, and that's one of my favorite holiday movies. So I did get that kind of vibe from it as well. How about you, Sarah?
Yeah, the same thing. It's like it was, instead of watching it for 2 hours, we watched it, and and I felt that I liked it. I like old movies, and just kind of seeing how things were then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And like Courtney said, his lunch is 7 shots and a sandwich, and it's less than $5. It's just like, what?
Not fair.
And then after having watched Sliders, it was just blown away. But I mean, it was quirky, as the Twilight Zone always is. So I mean, I liked it.
I liked it. Thumbs up for the Twilight Zone. How about you guys? Thumbs up for the Twilight Zone. All right. Now, before we move on to our next uh episode, Sarah, do we have any comments you want to highlight? Oh, that's probably Joe from the Captain's
Quadrant.
Quadrant.
Yes.
We are good.
Thanks, Joe, for coming. Okay, and I think that's it. Other than that, Jupiter stopped by and left, but
Yes, I think it's because Jupiter had to go work.
yep,
That's why. Yeah, but we appreciate the fact that Jupiter stops by. He is a
yep,
faithful watcher who
yes,
watches every episode. And he definitely warms my heart. So now we have
I
the
love it.
original Quantum Leap. Look at
I didn't know
Captain
they'd redone
Archer.
that.
He's so young.
Mhm.
Okay, and it's called Little Miracle. Sam and Al scare the dickens out of a rich Scrooge, Michael Blake, who wants to tear down a mission and build a high rise. This definitely had a Christmas story vibe to it.
Yes.
I think that they just took the whole idea from it, right? Sarah, talk to me.
Well, it was. I mean, I love Quantum Leap, and I love Al and Sam's relationship, and just this was so. I mean, him, usually, okay, I'm saying when he leaps in, he usually has a little bit of time to figure out what he's doing, but like he was right in it this time, and being a manservant, and it was just weird. But then, trying to teach this guy what he really needed to know, and I liked it. I mean, it was very Christmas Carol, and that's like, we're Scrooging him, right? Okay, let's Scrooge him. But I thought it was kind of cool that he could see Al. That
Yes.
was like, what?
That threw me off. But I guess he has the same wavelengths mental in the brain that
Close to Sam's.
yeah, that Sam has, and that's how he could see him. That doesn't happen often in Quantum Leap.
No.
So Courtney, talk to me about this. Have you seen the original Quantum Leaps?
I have not. I remember hearing like the theme song seemed familiar to me. And I've heard about it, and I've definitely seen pictures of the lead actor. What I was surprised about was recognizing Michael Blake. He was on SNL for years. And it was interesting because they definitely like, okay, they literally even said we're gonna Scrooge him, but it was interesting to me how there were differences about it. Like that, that he had also grown up at, in the same place, but I don't ever remember like it was not like a self-destruction thing in most of the other ones. I mean, like the whole storyline is that, but like that it was literally like a Salvation Army that they were, gonna tear down to build
Yeah,
I
Lake
know that
Plaza.
was like
Salvation Army
really.
shelter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the
And it wasn't
Salvation Armies in that time was a big deal because
right.
they did a lot of charity work.
Well,
So
I
it
Right.
mean,
was
they
really
still do.
huge, and they
Yeah,
still
no, they
do.
still
Yes.
have bell ringers out every year.
Mhm.
In a lot of places.
I mean, we have we don't have a shelter here, but we have a service. I don't know, a post, I guess is what it's called, and they have a walk-in pantry for the homeless and stuff. And
Yeah.
this time of year, they open the church at night so that the homeless can come in and sit in when it's too cold. I mean, they don't have an overnight shelter, but at least you can stay warm and not freeze to death.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they
And
do
in
good
certain
work.
parts of the US, that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say I gotta give this one a side gangsta thumb. Not my favorite Christmas story, but I think they did a really good job. But I think that the original Quantum League has so many good episodes that I think my expectation was greater
Yeah, the bar
than
was higher.
the bar was set too high in my brain.
Oh, they only had to write half a show. I mean, you had the basic storyline already,
Right.
and that was
Exactly.
it. Like that was their Christmas episode. So
Yeah.
they were like,
Ye-
"You're not."
Yeah.
It's a new take on an old idea, which is kind of cool, but like it does halfway feel like phoning it in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. So what do you guys think? Thumbs up, side thumbs, thumbs
I'm gonna
down?
give it a side thumb.
I still
You
liked
would
it because
side thumbs.
it's still a quantum leap, and it still held my attention. That's where I kind of I call it too. Like if I can sit there, because my ADHD gets real bad, so if I can sit there through the whole episode, it still gets a
Exactly.
They were not
Exactly. I
kind to
hear
the
you.
women in this show or
Oh,
this in
God,
this
They
no.
were
episode.
not.
Like, yeah, like you had, the gal at the Salvation Army who was just like doe-eyed and, like
Mhm.
completely oblivious. Well, she was in on it
Yep.
at first and then was just like I
But this
I don't
was
know.
so typical. The misogyny was so typical
Right.
It was
of
It
of the time.
time.
Yeah.
the
They
intro to
nailed
me,
it.
they like I don't know, and I know it's a little bit of a different era, but like I just totally got like a Magnum PI vibe from the whole thing. Like
Yes.
he's like secret agent guy with his, helper on the phone, and I'm
And
like,
mustache. Must have the mustache.
exactly. Yeah, no
Yep.
mustache and no Ferrari. So,
Yes. Let's go to our last one.
yeah.
I saved the best for last. Doctor Who season 4, episode 14, Christmas special 1010. The Doctor Who special that has a Christmas Scrooge element to the story. This is another Christmas story,
Mhm.
another Christmas episode that touched on that Scrooge mentality. So Courtney, your thoughts?
So I've seen the first episode of Doctor Who and I've seen this episode now. And this episode made me want to actually go back and start watching it.
Yay.
Like
Yay!
I'll admit I literally fell asleep the first time I watched the first episode. But it's a little weird coming into it because of course it's it's very self-reflexive. So they're always referencing things that have happened previously in the show.
Mhm.
But I didn't need to necessarily know who everybody was to know what was going on, which was convenient.
Mhm.
It was awesome. I mean, like I need a Christmas shark now. I need one for the tree. Just
I
a
do.
little
Everyone
Christmas
needs a
shark.
Christmas fish.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
I thought it was
Absolutely.
really neat the way, I mean, of course you got to do time travel because it's Doctor Who, but it was really interesting because like there's the whole time travel paradox where it's like you have rules about what you're not supposed to do. We know this in sci-fi, like you're not supposed to meet yourself. And
Yes.
here he's like actively showing him video of himself and changing
Mhm.
he's like, you're changing my memories. Like I don't the part that was so funny to me was when he and the younger version of the kid are trying to get
Kazran.
into this to get into this giant freezer room and he's to put the shark in and he's like, I haven't learned the code yet, like my dad didn't tell me until I was older. And
Mm.
the older version of him is just standing there screaming, 7248 or whatever the whole time.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was not so simplistic as a lot of the other stuff. And again, this was filmed, you think about Twilight Zone was 1960, and this was what year for Doctor Who?
This probably the 90s or the late 90s, right? 2000s.
Season 5 was 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, huge difference in production quality, and
Mm-hmm.
clearly in
Oh,
financing,
absolutely.
and the variety that you have going on. But this felt more sci-fi to me than like all of the rest of it. Like, I understand, like, time travel is basically a thing in almost all of these, except for the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
But
I like the fact that they kept a lot of sci-fi elements to the storyline,
Right.
which we did kind of not see as much in the other ones because it was more Christmas than it
Right.
was sci-fi. And I think here it was sci-fi then Christmas, and I kind of like that idea. What do you think, Sarah, of this episode?
Well, I like this. This is another one of my favorite episodes of all the Christmas specials. This is one of my favorites, just because his companions are there, but they're in peril in space, so they're not part. I mean, they're part of the story, but they're not like actively part of the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was a standalone Doctor and Kazran and then the girl, and trying to make. It is the Scrooge story, trying to change his life and give him a better life and give her a better life. But like in typical Doctor fashion, he didn't, happen to ask, why is she in the ice? And as her time's running out, and like, I can't get her out because she's going to die. And it's like, and then he's
And
a bitter
that
old
was
man.
something that kept coming to mind when I first saw that.
Yeah,
The
days
didn't
kept
really,
ticking down.
they didn't really weren't addressing her. And I think that she was the key element here. And it wasn't until the end where then you understand what was happening, which is a very classic Doctor Who thing to do, to
So that
kind
all
of
the
get you
pieces come
through
together.
all of it. And then at the end, bring it to a closure, which I think it's a fantastic way of telling a story. Because I think it keeps people engaged, if written correctly, of course. For me, it's a thumbs up. It's a 2 thumbs up for me. See, Courtney, what you got? 2,
No,
1,
yeah, no, both
Skyway.
of them. Yeah, this was the best one.
This was definitely the best of the 5 that we had selected. It was pretty amazing. This episode was so much fun to watch too. But we're now gonna go with our female scientist. Sarah, take it away.
Okay, so this is Dr. Sandra Moore Faber. She's an American astrophysicist known for her research on the evolution of galaxies. She's a university professor of astronomy and astrophysics at the University of California, Santa Cruz. I cannot talk. I'm sorry. She works at the Lick Observatory, which she also helped design. So, I mean, she had her hands in it. She made discoveries linking the brightness of galaxies to the speed of stars within them, and was the co-discoverer of the Faber-Jackson relation, which has to do with that. Let me go to my other page. She made important discoveries linking the brightness of those galaxies, and then she used a telescope she designed by Ketch telescopes, and they installed it in Hawaii. And hold on, I'm sorry, I lost my notes.
It's okay.
Faber was the head of the team known as the Seven Samurai that discovered a mass concentration called the Great Attractor. And she was the principal investigator of the Nuker team, which used the Hubble telescope to search for supermassive black holes at the center of galaxies. Faber was deeply involved in the initial use of the Hubble telescope as a member of the WFPC-1 camera team, and was responsible for diagnosing the spherical aberration in the middle of the primary lens. Um, let's see. She is just a fantastic woman. She still teaches, as this image shows here. Um, she a lot of her research has changed the way we think, and like the I don't know how to explain it, but that the things that we thought we knew about stars and the way galaxies worked aren't exactly what they were. And then the discoveries that she's made and the inventions and her theories have changed the way science has changed. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and that's a huge thing
Yeah.
because, we can't explore the stars. We can't do any kind of,
Yeah.
uh, um, space travel if we don't understand the stars and the
And
galaxy.
what's going on out there? Because
Mhm.
we can't leave home if it's not safe
Yes,
to leave.
yes, and that's so wonderful that this woman has brought this information into our lives so that space travel can improve.
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, that is fantastic. Thank you so much for bringing her. And
Mhm.
and what draw you to her?
She was actually born in 1944 in Boston in December, and that's what I was looking for was a scientist whose birthday was this month because I just thought that would be neat.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
I just thought that would be special since it's Christmas time. She was actually born on the day after Christmas.
Well,
So
happy birthday, Dr. Faber.
yes.
Wow. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for
Yep.
bringing that to us. And now we are going to do our Yes, we're going to talk about really quickly about a short science fiction short story. If you're into short stories, this one here, Chartreuse by Lisa Shea. It is a really easy read and it's actually free online.
Yeah.
If you go to Google Books, it's free. And if you Google it, you can actually find a free copy of it. I was able to get a free copy of it, and it takes you through the journey of a new world that has been affected by the invasion of aliens. And it takes you through the journey that they go through. So it is actually really interesting how she could kind of write all about this in a short form, which is pretty fantastic. Um, you know, I love that book. I thought it was pretty great. Now we have this new segment, and the segment is podcast recommendations, where I'm going to bring you a few podcasts that I've always mentioned here and one or two new ones as they go along. So if you have any podcast that you want us to review and recommend, let us know. Put it in the comments after the show so that we can see it. If you have a female scientist, a real female scientist that you would like Sarah to look at, put it in the comments section. A book that you want us to recommend, put it in our comment sections. We definitely go back to them. We look at them and we will definitely be making sure that we can see if we fits with our agenda. But here we go. I like a good intro. I do. The first one, it's always going to be my buddy Jace. He has a new channel. Um, and he even plays games on here, Mario Brother games, and he's got new stuff coming on for his YouTube channel. Check him out. Help him grow as you guys have helped us grow. Then we've got Pop Culture Spread, which also Jace is on there, and my Australian brother Rick. And they bring you every Friday and Saturday night media news with an Australian twist. They're fantastic. Lots of fun to watch, super funny, and you get to kind of know about certain Australian TV shows that we may not see here for a while. And I don't know about you guys, I'm a big fan of Australian TV. I watch quite a few Australian shows. So I really love this channel. And then we have Jason Roy Gaston with Jace. They do quite a few episodes on the Jason Roy Gaston channel. They do a few shows. Guys, check them out. Definitely send them some love. And Captain's Quadrant, which always will be in my heart, with Captain Joe Dove and Jason Roy Gaston every Thursday at 9 p.m. Check them out. They do all things Star Trek. So if you love Star Trek the way we do here, definitely check them out. And I found out these ladies, I recently found out about these ladies, and they're called Phoenix Sisters, and they do a lot of uh different types of things in their on their podcast. They promote new authors, they do cosplay, just all kind of nerdy geeky stuff, and they're really fantastic, down to earth ladies. And I really encourage you guys to check out the Phoenix Sisters. They are pretty great. And again, if you guys, I don't know if Courtney, if you got any podcasters you want me to promote, let me know. Send it to me, girl,
I
and I
will.
would definitely promote them. I like promoting other podcasters. The guys are they're the ones that were with me from the beginning, so I'm always going to promote them. But I love to promote female podcast shows. Definitely want to do that. Definitely want to make sure that they're known, and give people the variety that they should have, right?
Mhm.
Um, but thank you so much, Courtney, for being our returning guest.
Yeah.
You always welcome here with the Sci-Fi Queens.
I
Sarah,
am
thank
so
you.
surprised that you didn't do a Star Trek holiday episode.
Oh, it was really hard to find a
Even one.
episode because I don't
Really?
know that Star Trek really celebrates any holidays in any of their
That's a
they
good point.
talk about it, but they don't really like put up a tree, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The only
Right.
time you really see it is in the movie
Okay.
Generations,
Yeah.
Okay.
where there's like that little 2 minute
When
scene.
Picard's in the Nexus with his
Yes.
ideal family. Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
he's
funny.
But it's
celebrating.
very but even that was very Dickens like.
Yes, it was
Oh,
very
okay.
Dickens, very, 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 yeah,
Like
it
Victorian England basically.
Victorian England. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Interesting.
definitely.
I'll
So
have to
yeah, because
find
Star
that.
Trek doesn't really do holiday,
Right.
so it would have been impossible to bring it up. But yeah, we're big Star Trek fans here. We're big Star
Yeah.
Trek nerds here, so absolutely we
Oh,
want to
yeah.
bring that back in. But our next episode, guys, will be on, let me just take a look here, on Friday, December 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And we're going to be talking about the end of year Sci-Fi Queens end of year podcast review. We're going to talk about all things Sci-Fi Queens, our past episodes, our experience. Sarah's going to be talking about how she became a queen from being just part
A
of the
viewer.
comments, a
Yeah.
viewer,
Nice.
to being a guest, to now being a queen. Because that's how we roll. We keep it real up in here, right? We keep it real here. Um, and this is going to be a fantastic kind of end of the year um episode. I want to, before we let you guys go, I want to thank everyone. We had a goal of 50 subscribers before the end of the year of 2023 ending. Well, we surpassed that. We went up to 55 subscribers. Okay,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm wondering, guys, do you think we could get 60 subscribers by the end of the year? I think that you guys are so fantastic. I think you guys are so great. I think we might be able to do that. And I think that if you can get us there, that would be fantastic. How do you do that? By subscribing, sharing. When you see our announcement videos, repost them, let people know about us. And that is all we need. It'll help us grow, it'll help us expand, and help bring you the quality podcast that you deserve. We thank you so much, and we will see you on the 29th of December at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for all your time and your subscribing and the love that you give us and the support.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our new channel so that you can get notified when new videos come up. Thank you for watching our show.